Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well, if there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2023 related video here on my channel, and of course we now have less than a month to go until this year's Eurovision Song Contest takes place in Liverpool on behalf of current champions Ukraine. Today I am taking a look at all of the national finals that we had for this Eurovision season and looking at if the winner of those national finals didn't win, who would have gone to Eurovision instead. Think of this as my little take on the OGAE or OJ Second Chance contest, which of course is something that takes place every year, where songs that didn't win their national selection get an opportunity to shine and somebody comes out on top, essentially being crowned the best song not to go to Eurovision in any given year. So that's what I'm doing today. I do view this video as another filler video on my channel, because it's not really anything to do with the upcoming contest whatsoever. What I am working on, though, is 10 great national final songs of the season. And that's taking quite a bit of time because I'm going through every single national final song yet again. And obviously for some countries, such as Malta, Serbia, San Marino, that's a lot of songs. So it is taking quite a bit of time, but that video will surface very soon. And there'll also be my Why Blank Should Win Eurovision 2023 video within the next week or two, so stick around for that if you're interested. As always, feel free to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment, and there are links in the description as always to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So, the first country in front of me is Norway, because they of course A, had a national final, and B, are opening the first semi-final next month. So I'm looking at it here. Alessandra won by a mile. Who would have gone to Eurovision if she had not been involved? Well, the way I'm thinking about this is what songs were getting the most buzz at the time on YouTube and social media and things like that, and indeed the betting odds. But also, I'm looking at who actually finished second, and in MGP it was Ulrika with Honestly. However, I do remember Freya by Maria Selin being very popular. A lot of people thought that was a serious contender for the win when it was released. I really liked it, still really like it, but she didn't even make the final of MGP. And having seen the live performance, I can sort of understand why it wasn't quite at the level it needed to be. Some people said it was a crushing disappointment, which is fair enough. So I'm sort of excluding her from this a little bit. Looking at the actual MGP final, we had Umami Tsunami, we had Yona with Eko Inimai, we had Ulrika herself, as I just mentioned. Elsie Bay was back. Quite a few decent songs. I'm tempted to go with Eko Inimai because certainly the week of MGP, that song was getting a lot of attention online. I saw a lot of people saying, oh, can't wait until he wins with 300 points or something in MGP this weekend. People getting a little bit carried away, it must be said. He finished 5th in the end, so I could go with that because it was a bit of a fan favourite. But I'm going to go with Ulrika because a lot of people did enjoy that song and still do. I did a reaction to it on my channel, which is not something I usually do. I don't really listen to national final contenders in full on my channel. I listen to snippets in a recap video and give you my brief initial thoughts, and then go away and listen to those songs in full. But I was really excited for this one because Ulrika's one of my favourite Eurovision artists of the past couple of years. I've listened to pretty much everything she's done over the past few years, and I was really excited for this comeback, and it was a great song, and I thought she performed it very well. Attention was my personal winner in 2020, and I think that song was a little bit stronger than this one, but still, a great ballad, great vocals, great power to it. She's such a sublime singer. I think she's just been announced as the presenter of Norway's version of the Great British Bake Off. I did see something about that recently, so that's an interesting career move. And she's getting married and everything, so she's doing really well for herself, and she has said that she will come back to MGP again at some point because she really wants this Eurovision dream to happen. So I've put her down here as the alternative 2023 Norwegian representative. Now, as for Malta, instead of the busker, who would it have been? Well, had Aiden not being disqualified under some very suspicious circumstances, it almost certainly would have been him going to Liverpool instead. And he might well have qualified next month, who knows. As such, I'm not going to include him because he did get disqualified. The runner-up was Ryan Hilly, and I expected him to do well. Pretty decent ballad. But honestly, I didn't see anybody really hype up that song. Matt Black in third. Somehow, as I said earlier, I've been going through all the National Final songs again for my upcoming 10 Great National Final Songs of the Season video. This Matt Black entry, how the hell did the jurors think it was the best of the night? Absolutely baffling to me. Maxine Patch finished fourth. Great ballad. But I'm going to go with Brooke with Checkmate. She finished fifth. And she's been involved a couple of times now in the Maltese selection. She's never won. But I think she is somebody who should represent Malta at some point. I think she's got a bit of star quality. This performance was clearly a cut above many of the others earlier this year. And she's a great singer. Looks very fierce and confident on stage. And I think, to be honest, she'd look very comfortable on the Eurovision stage as well. So, Brooke with Checkmate, the alternative Maltese representative this year. As for Serbia, a couple of decent songs here. The real runner-up was Prince with Svetsaj Stoka, the sort of long-haired chap. Nada finished third. That was a sort of cutesy, low-key number. Zaina was seventh. Hurricane were 12th. Didn't do very well at all. The outfits as well. What was that all about? I think I'm going to go with Philip Baloch. Quite a cool-looking guy. Sunglasses, if I recall. And this felt very current, but it also had a sort of 90s thing going on as well. Very cool, quite up-tempo, very sophisticated, very engaging. Just a very sort of hip and with it number, to be completely honest with you. I certainly think so. Novi Plan Drugi Sam. This got 8 points from the juries, 7 points from the public, 15 points in total, fourth place. I'm going to go with him. Philip Baloch, the alternative Serbian representative this year. Probably should have pushed harder for the win, but it wasn't to be. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts as well. Who would you have as the alternative Eurovision representatives this year? As for Latvia, obviously it's Southern Lights going to Liverpool, and perhaps rightly so. The runner-up was Patricia. Yeah, I don't really know who else to pick here besides the real-life runner-up, because I didn't see anybody really big up any of these songs. Fake Love was good. Forever by Marcus Riva was okay. Inspo, who didn't even get through to the final, that was a good song. I am going to go with the runner-up here. Patricia, real name Patricia Ksenia Chuprianovica. Yeah, she's 21. She's got her own Wikipedia page. Released an album. Something tells me she'll be trying again to represent Latvia sooner rather than later. Her song was called Hush, and it was the runner-up. Pretty cool song. Don't really remember too much about it, though, to be completely honest with you. I did gloss over the Latvian songs again the other day when I was preparing for this next video on my channel. But that's the artist I'm going to go with here. Patricia for Latvia instead of Southern Lights. Moving on, Portugal. Well, we've got Mimi Cat. Ai Coração. Yeah, that's a great song. The runner-up was Edmundo Inácio with A Festa. And then we've got Claudia Pascual, Barbara Tinoco, Evandro. Yes. Some very bizarre results in Festival de Canção earlier this year. Voodoo Marmalade and De Punk Sportif doing far better with the public than the jury. This is difficult because I think Claudia Pascual's song was really good, but I'm thinking as neutrally as possible here. Some people thought it was very irritating, which is fair enough. It is a repetitive track. Claudia is great, though. I've said this before on my channel. Absolutely one of my favourite musicians, probably ever, in Eurovision. And I've listened to pretty much everything she's done since. But I think I'm going to have to go with Edmundo here, because I think people ranked him a bit higher. Mimi Cat was the favourite. But I am going to go with A Festa. He was the jury winner, joint winner with Mimi Cat, and he was second with the public. So it's Edmundo. And yeah, 22 points in that FDC final on March the 11th. Would that song have qualified? I don't know. Will Mimicat qualify? I don't know. We'll find out in less than a month's time. And I will be doing a sort of alternative prediction for semi-final 1 and indeed semi-final 2 shortly, so stick with me for that. As for Ireland, there's only one choice here. It's Connolly. What a brilliant song. Something very typically Irish about it. Quite haunting, very beautiful, very pretty. Young female soloist front and centre. She wrote the song herself. And this just feels like an absolute breath of fresh air. Wild Youth, okay, the song has grown on me quite a bit, but Jesus wept, it is a generic track. Whereas Midnight Summer Night, there's something a little bit more authentic and unique about it, I suppose. A really, really lovely song. She was the national jury second place, public second place, international jury favourite, 2 points behind Wild Youth in the end. Connolly, in my opinion, is the alternative Irish pick. As for Croatia, I think it's got to be Harmonia Dissonanza. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that somewhat accurately now. The runners-up, a very distant runner-up behind Let 3. I'm not surprised Croatia picked Mama Sh in the end. I mean, it was an absolutely crushing victory. But Nevera Lele, little bit more traditional, quite folky, full of strings, violins and all that. The performance at Dora wasn't actually that impressive. It felt a bit too static. It wasn't really gripping my attention much, and it didn't really build up to much either, so I can sort of understand why it didn't challenge harder for victory. But a lot of people had this as their number one pick coming into Dora, and in the end they were absolutely blasted to one side by Let 3. 155 points versus 279. It wasn't even close. It was a runaway win. But anyway, Harmonia Dissonanza, the alternative Croatian pick. A lovely track. As for Switzerland, well, that will stay the same, as will Israel. As for Moldova, well, the real runner-up was Sunstroke Project, and then we had Aliona Moon in third, sorry. I think I'm going to go with Aliona Moon here, the 2013 representative a decade ago now, with Pasha Parfeni on stage, who is going to Liverpool a decade on, 11 years on. Duma, yeah, low-key, quite a smooth, slightly hypnotic sounding song. Yeah, very relaxing to listen to, whereas Yummy Mummy by Sunstroke Project, I mean, we've sort of heard this thing plenty of times before from this band, to be completely honest with you. It wasn't really doing anything truly groundbreaking, and I suppose Duma is exactly the same, but that's the one I'm going for here, Aliona Moon. Really, it was always going to be one of the three names that had been at Eurovision before, Pasha, Sunstroke Project or Aliona Moon. It was going to be one of those three again for Moldova. Nobody else really stood much of a chance, and I didn't see anybody else really hype up any of the other tracks. So I am going with Aliona, and something tells me she'll be back at Eurovision again at some point soon, and I think Sunstroke Project will be back at some point soon, and Stop She Stub again. I would not be surprised. Maybe they could team up with Sunstroke Project, and it would be some sort of mega supergroup going to Eurovision at some point. I would not be shocked, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, Aliona Moon, who was second with the jury, and fourth, I think it was, with the public. Yeah, finishing third overall. That's the alternative Moldovan pick. As for Sweden, well, I think it's really got to be Marcus and Martinus. Yeah, I mean, Loreen was the favourite with so many people. And Smash Into Pieces was certainly very popular too. I mean, I'm tempted to go with 6 Feet Under. Something a bit different from Sweden for a change. Hallelujah. But I saw more people have Marcus and Martinus higher. So it's going to be the two Norwegian brothers with Air. And this was a good performance, you know, quite dark, but we had the blue lasers, and they were bopping about on this little stage. Yeah, I wasn't massively convinced with the vocals, I'll be honest with you, but what's done is done. They're not going to Eurovision. They might try and represent Norway at some point, their own country. 138 points in the end, a distant second behind Tattoo, but the alternative Swedish pick for me in this instance. As for Azerbaijan, staying the same. Czech Republic. I think it's probably got to be Pam Rabbit, who was the real-life runner-up. I think she's great. I think she's very cool. Got a sort of moody gothic look about her, which is quite interesting. And this song, Ghosting, it was miles behind winning. But, yeah, quite a cool song with an interesting melody. A little bit of the Billie Eilish about it, maybe. This sort of hushed tone to her voice at times in the song. And she has tried to represent Czech Republic twice now, I believe it is. The alternative pick for me for Czechia, Ghosting, Pam Rabbit, a pretty cool contemporary song. Then we have the Netherlands, that's staying the same. And as for Finland, now this is really interesting because Portion Boys were the runners-up. Keira was third, Robin was fourth, I don't think so. Benjamin finished last, but that song was really popular and it was a surprise that he only finished with 66 points in the end, well behind the rest. But I'm looking at Kuma, and I think I'm going to go with them, because I think since UMK took place at the end of February, that song has really shot up in people's estimations, and it's a really cool song, very relaxing to listen to. I can't really compare it to anything, but it reminds me of a lot of sort of 90s British bands. Very carefree, very easygoing. The lyric video was pretty cool as well, this monochrome style they went for. I'm going to go with Ylivoimainen, which I think means above all else, or overwhelming, I think, something like that. Really lovely song, only finished 5th, deserved a bit more, did okay with the juries, 10 from the UK as well, very nice to see. But yes, I'm going to go with Kuma, and to be honest, any song Finland would have chosen would have probably cruised through semi-final 1 next month. So let's go through the alternative results. So I think Norway would have qualified with Ulrika. Would Malta have qualified with Brooke? I'm not sure. Philip Balosh would have qualified for Serbia. Patricia, I don't think, would have qualified for Latvia. Edmundo, I'm not sure he would have qualified for Portugal. Connolly, oh man, it's interesting to think about, isn't it? Because I think Connolly may have been in with a shot. Maybe, especially if juries were to be involved. But sadly they're not. So I think I've got to rule her out as well. Croatia, maybe. This is tough. Moldova, I'm going to say yes for Moldova, because Moldova have a habit of going through anyway. So I'm going to say yes for that. Sweden would have gone through. And Finland would have gone through. And then out of the internal selections, Israel would have done it. So that's 5. Netherlands. Oh boy. Switzerland. Oh boy. I'm going to say Switzerland probably would have done in this alternative semi-final one. So that's 6. I'm going to say Croatia would have done. That's 7. I'm going to say Czech Republic would have done. That's 8. I'm going to say Netherlands would have done. That's 9. And then, shall I go for something very left field here? Here's something nobody said. I think Ireland are going to qualify. Connolly. Yeah, why not? Which means no place for Azerbaijan, or Portugal, or Latvia, or Malta. So to be honest, maybe the results wouldn't have been wildly different in this alternative universe. So let me get my eraser and let's move on to semi-final 2. Let me know what you think, of course. Maybe you would have picked a different Finnish song as your alternative 2023 pick. Oh dear, I didn't realise I was quite that bright, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we just do that? Oh dear me, what's going on? Oof. Oh, that's a bit better. Sorry if I was exceptionally white there. Semi-final 2, Denmark. They had a national final. DMGP. Taking a while to load up here. We had I Was Gonna Marry Him by Eija, the 2 girls. Niklas was the runner-up. Bit of a rock song. I think I'm going to... And also Lia Hair by Soren Torpegard Lund. This very, very gentle ballad, which has certainly grown on me quite a bit since DMGP took place. I'm going to go, however, with I Was Gonna Marry Him. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people sort of expected it when... expected it was going to win, ahead of Riley, and in the end, they didn't even make the top 3. The juries weren't keen on it for whatever reason. Don't really know about the public. Oh no, there weren't any juries. What am I talking about? Well, anyway, nobody really thought much about this song. Every region of Denmark was pretty much on the same page, and Eja, with I Was Gonna Marry Him, consisting of Brynja Mary, who tried to represent Iceland a few years ago, and Sara Victoria Sverrisdottir. Yeah, that's the one I'm going with here. I'm starting to ramble. The performance was okay, but I can understand why it didn't do that good, to be honest with you. So that's my alternative Danish pick. Armenia the same. Romania. I'm going to go with Blah 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 by Aladeda. Finished 4th. Did okay with the televote and the online voting, but it just wasn't enough. Was fairly close in the end, between 2nd and 5th. Theodore was well out in front, which does surprise me because the performance was not it. But yes, we've got the Folklore Orchestra, Andre Dutu, pretty basic song, but I'm going to go with Blah Blah Blah. I thought that was ready-made for Eurovision, to be honest with you. The national final performance was pretty solid. At Eurovision it would have been elevated no end. Pretty decent bop, to be honest with you, so that's my alternative Romanian pick. Let's continue. Estonia. I think this has to be Ollie, the real-life runner-up with Venom. Yeah, I think it probably has to be. We've got Bedwetters, we've got Mel's, Sissy was there, Janek. Yeah, I'm going to go with Ollie, which I think he would have gone through from semi-final 2 had it been him in Liverpool next month. Would have done very, very well. This sort of very heavy, almost metal-type song. And he was 3rd with the jury, 2nd with the public, and then in the 2nd round of voting, he finished 2nd with 10,280 votes. Yeah, great song. Liked it from the first time I heard it. A lot of people were very, very excited about it. It was one of the first national final songs of the Eurovision 2023 season that people were really getting excited about. But in the end, of course, Alika won instead. As for Belgium, I think there's only one choice here. I think it's got to be Ça m'ennuie pas by Shireen. Didn't really like the live performance. It felt too childish, to be honest with you, if that's the right term to use. In the end, she finished 4th, but it was very close. I mean, she was only 10 points away from winning. A very cutesy number, very twee, maybe a bit too sickly sweet for some tastes, but a really lovely feel-good song. And I was really surprised at the time. I was really surprised she didn't win. And I've seen people online say for weeks, well, months now, she was robbed, she should be going to Liverpool, etc., etc. Maybe she'll try again next year, I don't know. Maybe Belgium will go internal again. Maybe they'll pick her internally, I've no idea. Yeah, but she's pretty cool, and the song was pretty cool. And in the end, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. If the staging had been a bit different, it could have been a different story. We'll just never know. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, Cyprus the same. Iceland, well, I'm not going to go with the real-life runner-up, which was okay. Heavens above no. Could go with Celebs, who scraped through with the wild card, just a few votes behind, going through to the Song for Captain final automatically. They finished 3rd in the end on March the 4th. Sigga Usk with Dancing Lonely. That was great, you know. I've listened to that song quite a bit lately. Absolutely tremendous in that red outfit. Looking and sounding just absolutely fabulous. Bottom. What a surprise. I think I'm going to go with Celebs. Or am I? Because Kristin Cecilia with Obegirth, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing, she was last in semi-final 2, but that song was getting quite a bit of buzz. 2,638 points, well behind the rest. Silja Rosenkjalar with Hjegstithine Braut finished 4th in semi-final 2. That was getting a little bit of attention as well. Not much, but a little bit. I'm going to go with Celebs, why not? Doomsday Dancing, very colourful, quite chaotic. Very bouncy, reminds me a bit of Alphabet, if you remember them. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Doomsday Dancing as the alternative Icelandic pick. Greece will stay the same. Poland, it's got to be Jan. Let's not even go into that controversy again. He was the Polish public's favourite, and from the sounds of it, by a very massive margin. He wasn't the favourite with the jury, though, and that's what ruined his chances. But Gladiator, Very powerful, very striking, very engaging performer. And the live performance wasn't brilliant. It wasn't brilliant. Blanca wasn't brilliant either. Ugh, she really wasn't. But at Eurovision, everything's a bit more polished anyway. And had he won, and had he been on stage in Liverpool, coming up very soon, I'm sure it would have been a really electric show. Would have stood out a lot. And no doubt about it, I say this with all due respect, Blanca probably isn't going to qualify. Whereas Jan, I think we'd be looking at that song and saying, okay, he's in semi-final 2, it's looking really good for Poland this year. So, it is what it is. Let's move on. Slovenia staying the same. Georgia the same. San Marino, I think I'm going to have to go with the real-life runner-up, which is Ledeva, who I believe are from Albania, actually, with Fiore su Marte. We don't know exactly how close it was between them and Pete Jacks. But honestly, Ledeva, 3 women I think it is, what a lovely song. Quite powerful, stirring stuff, and honestly a stronger choice. Would have given San Marino a better chance than what they've actually got this year, I would say. There is Eiffel 65. Oh, no, I don't think so. Roy Paci with Tromba, that was good. Ronella was there as well, but I think that was getting way too much hype. Well, I'm not even sure it was getting much hype at all, but I saw people on Twitter saying, oh my god, Ronella's coming to save the day for San Marino, and I thought, hang on a minute, it's not that impressive. And she didn't even finish in the top 10, so that speaks volumes. But yes, I'm going to go with Ledeva. Austria the same. Albania, it's got to be the actual winner of FIC, but of course there was that secondary vote which ensured Albania came out on top instead. It's going to be El Salila. I think it was Enshi Nasufi. Yeah, she was getting quite a lot of high rankings as well in people's videos. But I'm going to go with Elsa. Big Albanian star. Won FIC a bunch of times now. Evita, this very theatrical, grand ballad. What a voice. Sitting there on the chair, really going for it. Packing emotion into every syllable. Yeah, pretty good stuff. That's the alternative Albanian pick. Lithuania. Now this is interesting. Monica really came up on the rails, didn't she? Ruta Mur was second. Beatrick was third, and I love that song. Petunia was fourth. Brilliant song. But I'm tempted to go with Paulina with Let Me Think About Me. A fairly modern, up-tempo, bop-type track. She finished fifth. 49 points from the jury, so 6 points in the end, and 5 points from the televote. Yeah, pretty good song. Can't really say much more about it. Pretty good performer. Fairly current stuff. Yeah, that whole top 5 there. Indeed. The entire national final in Latvia, you could say. Very impressive indeed. But of course, Monica won the ticket to Liverpool instead. Australia staying the same. So, let's go through the alternative semi-final 2 results. Estonia, yes. Well, let's go through the internal selection. So, Armenia, yes. Cyprus, I'm not sure about. Greece, Slovenia, yes. Georgia, more than likely. Austria, you bet. Australia, yes. Is that it? Okay, so that's 6. Belgium would have gone through, I think, with Samon Ripar. Jan would have gone through with Gladiator. So that's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. Oh, dear me. Lithuania would have gone through as well, I think, to be honest. That diaspora vote, but also the song's pretty good anyway. So Paulina would have gone through. And then I think maybe... Oh, Cyprus are there, aren't they? I'm going to put Cyprus down. Andrew Lambrou. So that means Denmark, Romania, Iceland, San Marino, and Albania would have missed out. So to be honest, again, the results wouldn't have been a million miles away from what we're sort of expecting at this moment in time, with the actual artists going to Liverpool next month. So there we go. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody out there. If I did, I apologise. As for the automatic finalists, Germany, the alternative pick there would not have been in a million years Ike Huftgold. Don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. Probably would have been Renee Miller with Concrete Heart, or Patty Gurdy with Melodies of Hope. That's a really lovely sort of Schlager, folkish type song. She finished last. The live performance wasn't great, but it is what it is. As for... Oh, what are we doing here? As for Italy, I think a lot of people would have preferred Cenere, to be honest with you. Tananai, yeah, Madame. Madame would have been my alternative pick, in all honesty. A lot of people really like that song. She's a great performer. Il bene, nel male, il bene, and so on. Good stuff. I hope she comes back soon with something that's just absolutely incredible. As for Spain, the runner-up was Agone, and I probably would have picked him. Yeah, Fusa Nocta was last, and that song was getting quite a bit of buzz in the build-up to Benidorm Fest, which was on February the 4th, ladies and gentlemen, ages ago. But yes, Quiero Arder would have been the alternative Spanish pick. As for Ukraine, well, it's Jerry Heil, isn't it? With When God Shut the Door. Krutz was very good, absolutely, but I think it's Jerry Heil for me. And that reminds me, I need to actually look at the Ukrainian songs again. Completely glossed over them for this future video I'm doing. So yes, When God Shut the Door. But there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, obviously, if we think about all of the songs, you've got Lorien, you've got Caria, you've got Blanca Paloma, but it could have been Agone versus Marcus and Martinez versus Kuma. That could have been, you know, the front three for Liverpool this year. Who would have won if that was the case? Poof. I don't really know. I think Ulrika would have been in with a good shot. Marcus and Martinez absolutely would have been in with a good shot. Kuma would have done well. Agone would have done okay. France would have done very well had it been this alternative final. They'll still do well anyway, perhaps. Austria. Yeah, Austria maybe would have benefited the most. Israel too. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now in the dark a little bit. What's going on? Apologies if the lighting's been absolutely shite in this video. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously, there's a lot more happening in the world of Eurovision over the next few weeks, and I'll be making videos as and when. Top 10 great national final songs of the season, that's coming up soon. Why blank should win Eurovision 2023, that's coming up soon. Predictions, more talk about this year's contest, that's coming up soon as well. Rumours are Frankie Goes to Hollywood could be performing at this year's contest. A massive one-off reunion. Oh yeah, what a band. The Power of Love, Two Tribes, Relax. Whoa! We are talking about one of the biggest British bands in the 80s, absolutely. I think they were the first band to have their first 3 singles go to #1 in the UK. I think. Something like that. They were big business. Before my time, but I know that they were massive. So, who knows? I have made no secret of the fact that I'd rather watch paint dry than tune into the Eurovision Song Contest. That's what this journalist has said. And let me tell you, this journalist is a bit of a hypocrite, because he's been talking about Eurovision a fair bit in the papers over the past couple of weeks. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Enough rambling from me. Let me know your thoughts on this video. If you've got any more video ideas moving forwards, let me know as well. Links in the description to my other social media pages. We've got pre-parties coming up as well in London. I'm in London tomorrow, so I might even see something to do with Eurovision, I have no idea. But that is it. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Your support means a great deal. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, cheers, and bye for now.